One of the things that you do talk is about Showtime. This is when leaders are facing a crisis. Can you elaborate how the leaders can develop the fortitude and the resilience to perform, especially during Showtime?
Well, I'll just take some examples of, I'd say, three of the great leaders I've worked with. But I've worked with many, but these three are all outstanding case studies. One of them is Alan Mulally. Alan was the CEO of the Ford Motor Company. He led the turnaround. The company went from $1.01 stock to $18.40. Stock went up 1,837%. And he was CEO of the Year in the United States, number three greatest leader in the world, and a 97% approval rating from every employee. An amazing human being in a union company, unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
Another woman is Frances Hesselbein, just an amazing person, an inspiration. Peter Drucker said the greatest leader I'd ever met, and led the Girl Scouts to a huge transformation. And a third is Hubert Joly. Hubert led the great transformation of Best Buy. Now, all three of these leaders had something in common. What they had in common is I am up, I am positive, I am in my role. I've never seen any of the three be, I'm poor me, I'm down, I feel sorry for myself. No, when you're in the job, you're in the job. And for Alan and Frances, particularly, I've known for decades, and I've never saw either one of them be down at all or depressed. In fact, a funny story with Alan, he was in the office at Ford and he was squeezing a stress ball. And a
Uh-huh.
woman came by and she said, thank goodness, I never thought you had any stress. Now I see you with this stress ball. Oh, I see you with this ball, squeezing the ball. He says,
Uh-huh.
what do you mean? She says, you're squeezing the ball. That's a stress ball. I said, no, I hurt my hand playing tennis. And the doctor said I was supposed to squeeze the ball. So, yeah, I mean, he never showed poor me. I was stressed out. I'm a victim. So a lot of life is mental set of being where you are
Mm-hmm.
and you're in that role. Now, there's an interesting thing. Sometimes people confuse two words, authenticity and disclosure. Now, Francis and Alan are always very authentic leaders. They're very much in their roles, but they never engaged in inappropriate disclosure.
Mm-hmm.
Never put people down. You never make nasty comments about people. And they both created an environment where other people didn't do that. For some people, they think, well, that's really the way I feel. That's nice, but you're under no moral obligation to share that with the world. You need
Mm-hmm.
to remember, I am a professional. I am a professional here. So, very important when you're with a group to be a professional. For example, listening is hard. Let me
Mm-hmm.
get, people think being a CEO is glamorous. A lot of being a CEO is boring. You have to listen to presentation after presentation after presentation and slideshows. And sometimes you're just tired. Well, one thing I teach the CEO is you always communicate a message. I care about what you're saying. Now, you can't always really care because sometimes you've heard it 12 times before. You're tired. You parents have problems. They're human beings like everybody else. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter. You might say, I don't need to listen. You do need to care. And you need to
Yep.
communicate that sense of caring to people.
That is profound, Marshall. So it's there. There's this saying: people won't care what you know until they know that you care.
Right, right. That's a
Right?
good thing. Yes,
Yeah. I think that's profound because it doesn't matter who you are. At some point, it's not the title. At some point, it's
yes,
the person who you are, your values, and you know how you talked about Alan and Francis.
right.
They not only had a very high bar for their own selves and how they conduct themselves, but also they demonstrated the world that they care. And
Yes,
we all know Ford is an iconic company, the kind of phase it went through, and how it transformed, and almost this 2000% stock price change upward. That's not small by any means. And to achieve those changes at that scale in an iconic company, it's which it's not something any CEO could do. And to do that with the kind of impact they had both on the people and the culture of the Ford is remarkable. I had a chance to actually visit the Ford Motor Company a few years ago because my company was building the software which would
yeah,
go into the future electric vehicle motors at Ford Motor Company. So I got another chance to look at the culture of the company and kind of the experience and legacy that Alan left behind and appreciate how that company had transformed over the decades.
Yes, yeah, an amazing person. Francis as well, just an amazing person. And it's not a one-time event. It's day after day after day, and week after week after week, and month after month, and year after year. It's the ability to sustain that over time that makes them so remarkable.
So true, so true. It's like it's your second nature. It comes naturally to you. You don't have to do something extra. It's a part of you. It's a part of your character. It's a part of who you are. And Marshall, again, in today's day and age, those things are very hard to implement because people remain distracted. Matter of fact, one of the biggest gift I feel people could give others is being present, is being physically, mentally, emotionally being present